From the very first time that I heard,
It's football time in Tennessee.
I knew that sports would consume my life. I'm originally from Tennessee, but I grew up in Gator Country, a very hard thing to do. Despite that, my first and main love is the Tennessee Volunteers. Then, in 2023, I met a girl who worked for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I quickly fell in love with hockey. A Tampa Bay Lightning fan through and through. That same girl introduced me to women's basketball, and my life has never been the same. I even met Candace Parker. Then, in 2025, I got the opportunity to work for the Orlando Valkyries, a professional volleyball team. In my first season, they won the championship. Outside of my love for sports, I'm a dog mom, a college graduate, a sister, an aunt to many boys and a few girls, and a daughter. My love for sports led me to do this podcast, and I hope you guys will enjoy the journey just as much as I'm going to. Welcome to the Everything Sports Podcast with Tay. My name is Tay, and today I'm joined by very special guest, Coach Willie Tillman. Hi, Willie. How you doing today?
I am good, Tay. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really glad to have this conversation with you and get to talk some football with you. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to go ahead and get started.
I'm okay. Let's get started, Tay.
All right, perfect. So my very first question for you is about your collegiate career, and it's, can you describe your earliest memories as a college football player and what inspired you to pursue football at the collegiate level?
Well, football kind of came easy to me as a youth growing up. I remember playing out in the street as a young kid, with some older kids and just being able to catch the ball and make people miss and it kind of gave me a confidence, especially being younger, playing with older kids. So throughout little league and high school, it kind of came easy. Then to get a full ride offer to a Big Ten university, Purdue University, that kind of helps that decision making too, to be able to go to a Big Ten university to get a full ride education and also play football. So those two things definitely help. Just being naturally a good football player, it coming natural, and then on the other side of that is the full ride to go play at a Big Ten university. So those were the things that made me want to be a collegiate football player.
Okay.
And I think the thing that got me going to be wanting to be a collegiate football coach happened even way before college. That was funny story. Was when I was in high school, I would go over and work the Will Purdue Merritt Island basketball camp.
Okay.
I was a counselor over there working that camp. And so maybe my first or second year working the camp, we would have our individual basketball teams during camp. And at the end of camp, we would have a tournament. And this one year, my team made it to the championship game of the tournament. And we got down to the end. We were down by 1 point, with like 3 seconds left on the clock. And I called timeout and, brought the team over and had a play that we ran for me at Satellite. So I kind of drew that play up and I coached it up. And don't exactly remember the names, but I just remember telling, hey, John, you're going to pass it to Rob, and you're going to set the pick. You're going to catch it. You're going to shoot it. It's going to go off the glass. It's going to go in, and we're going to win the game. And what do you know? That exact thing happened. We won the game. And the feeling I got from that moment was like almost hitting the perfect, golf shot. Oh, I want that feeling again. So that was kind of the first feeling of, man, I want to be a coach one day. And I think playing collegiately, having that feeling, said, hey, I want to be a college coach one day, once I got done playing.
That's awesome, Corey. And to know that it started at such a young age, it makes it even more amazing that you've been doing it for 27 years now. coaching in general, because you've done collegiate and high school coaching, but 27 years of coaching, and to know that you wanted to do that at such a young age is really awesome. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
that
ahead.
it was just a I guess a blessing from God that gave me
Yeah,
that
for
feeling
sure.
that this is, man, this is something I really like. And it wasn't about me, it was about the others,
Right.
um
Yeah.
and their success. And I was having a great feeling from seeing the success of other people.
And that's what it's all about, really, right? Like the success of your players. It's not even really about your success as a coach. And I've talked to some other coaches about some things when I was preparing for this podcast, and not this specific episode, but the podcast in general. And they were telling me that their favorite part of coaching is when their players succeed. They don't ever talk about their own success. Like it's really it's a common theme that I've noticed with coaches, that it's not about your own success, it's about the player's success and that feeling that it gives you when they succeed in something, whether it's on the field or off the field in their academics, or and anything like that that they do as well too. So
And I think that the other thing about that is their success can come right then, or it can come 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
yeah,
You know, depending on what type of lessons they learn, and the calls you may get once they graduate, and once you're not working with them no more, but they may call you back and tell you a story or something that has happened. And you're like, wow, I had something to do with that. I played a
yeah.
part in that young man's or woman's life.
Yeah, it's about my dad would tell me when he was coaching little league baseball. That's as far as he coached. He did not coach my brother in high school. But if coaching little league baseball, he would tell me that it's about coaching and building the man, not just the young kid, but building the entire man, not the athlete, not the one who's on the pitcher's mound, or in your case on the football field, but the entire man, the spirituality, the philosophies, the everything that goes with it. So um,
Yeah. Physically,
that's
mentally,
what
and
it's all about.
spiritually is what we're trying to do when we
Yep.
build these young men and women. Yes,
It sets them up for success in their life, not just in athletics. So it's a really awesome
exactly.
thing that you're doing as a coach.
Well, thank you.
My next question is going to be, what were the biggest lessons you learned as a student athlete that have helped shape your coaching philosophy?
Just preparation, being prepared. I think the biggest lessons I learned was going from my sophomore year into my junior year in college. I began to watch a lot more film, studying film, which has helped me now because I'm a big component of watching film and studying film, and not just looking at it like you're watching a football game, but knowing how to watch it as well. And I think that, again, um, from going, I caught 3 passes my freshman and sophomore year, and I believe I caught 48 my junior year. So just right there, um, kind of proves that film study really helped me during that time. Because we had at Purdue, that my first 3 years, our offensive coordinator was had coached at Ohio State. So I had an opportunity to watch some film from guys who had played Ohio State that were pretty good. Guys like Joey Galloway and Terry Glenn, who ended up having real good careers in the NFL. But watching those guys, studying those guys, I thought really helped me with preparation for games, and it's also helping me now just being a student of the game and studying film has helped me now too. So preparation is something that I've taken from being a student athlete to being a coach.
And I can definitely say that you still do that to this day as a coach. I was texting with your wife the other day when I was trying to get a hold of you to plan something, and she said he's busy watching film right now, but he'll get back to you, I promise. So I can
Yes,
say for sure that you're still using that preparation mindset and watching that film to better yourself and better your players. So
definitely doing that, and I'm trying to teach those guys the same thing.
And if you teach them at a young age, because right now you're coaching high school, but if you teach them at a young age, when they get to that college opportunity that a lot of them are, going to have, whether it be a D1, D2, or even D3 school, doesn't matter where they go, that preparation is so important. And
Yeah,
teaching them at such a young age like you are right now is really huge.
yeah, and we try to teach them. Everybody learns different, so we'll
Hmm.
watch it on film. We'll draw it up. We'll walk through it, and then we'll practice it. or we're trained for it. So, whatever way your style of learning, hopefully we're hitting that in our preparation.
Yeah, doing it so many different ways, you have to be hitting it at least once for everybody. So I mean, that's a really awesome way to handle things. My next question for you is: was there a defining moment in your playing career that sparked your desire to become a coach? And I know you kind of already touched on that, but if you want to touch on that a little bit more, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a moment. There was a time.
Right.
So going into my senior year, we're probably 2 weeks into fall camp. I dislocate my collarbone.
Ugh.
So I have to sit out the first game. Then probably game 5, I have a high ankle sprain, so I have to
Mm,
sit out 4 games. So I didn't play a lot my senior year due to
yeah.
injury, but it being my senior year, we had a whole new coaching staff come in, which we're real excited about. But as a student athlete, being a senior, I felt that that was my team, or at least in the receiver room, that
Right.
was my
Yeah.
room. So it kind of put me into a coaching role, even though I was still a player. So I thought that was kind of gave me some um, experience in coaching, even though I was still playing, but just being around, making sure our guys were doing the right thing, being a leader in that room, even though I wasn't playing. So I think that gave me a little bit of experience of coaching, even before I was an official coach.
When you knew you wanted to do it from the time you were in high school, so that when that senior year moment came around, I'm sure that you jumped at the opportunity to kind of take that leadership role and become a coach to those wide receivers while you were down. So,
Yeah, it did, and then it led on to me staying on my 5th year as a student assistant
oh yeah, that's right.
coach
You
as
guys won
well.
the Alamo Bowl your senior year, and also you won the Alamo Bowl in your first year of coaching as a graduate assistant, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I did that, and that was pretty awesome to be able to experience the Alamo Bowl as a player, and
Yeah.
then go back and experience as a coach, winning both Alamo Bowls. And the second year we beat Kansas State, who was ranked number 3 in the nation,
Wow.
which was big game for Drew Brees, kind of his breakout game. Beating Michael Bishop, if guys remember who that is, but very good quarterback from Kansas State.
Well, that's awesome. Next question, we're gonna go ahead right ahead into that, and it was: who were the coaches or mentors that had the greatest influence on you during your playing days, and how do you incorporate their lessons into your own coaching?
Well, the first one would be my father. My father coached me at a really young age and all the way up to high school, really. And I think the tough love that he showed as a coach is kind of how I coach a little bit now. I think I got that from him. Just being hard, but also showing a lot of love when love needs to be shown. But if things need to be corrected, he was going to point them out. And I think a little bit of my coaching now comes from that, comes from my dad. Um, Another big influence in high school was a guy by the name of Danny Denenberg, Coach Denenberg, who helps out at Merritt Island High School now. Um, he used to always say, he was my quarterback coach at Satellite, but he used to always say, to be the best, you have to work harder than the rest. And we would preach on me, hey, just don't be the best here at Satellite. We want to be the best in the county. You want to be the best in the nation. So understand there's people out there working hard. And it's thinking back now, he was just preparing me, which we talked about earlier, but
Right.
preparing me for the next step. By always being ready and working hard. So that preparation, he was kind of giving me that preparation of being ready. The other one would be a guy by the name of Reuben Carter. Coach Carter was the head coach at Florida A&M University when I worked there. And Florida A&M is a pretty big job when it comes to coaching. A lot of pressure, a lot of eyes. And he taught me how to keep that outside noise and kind of block out the outside noise, kind of ignore that noise. Understand that the locker room, this coaching staff is what's important. And getting them to believe in, to buy in what we're doing, no matter what everybody on the outside is saying. And being a head coach, different places now, I've had to block things out. Parents, alum, or whoever it may be.
Social media.
But media,
yeah.
a lot of the media, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that from Coach Carter, how to block out that outside noise. Now the other one, other person that I didn't mention that I just thought of, and I cannot forget, who had a big influence on me as a coach, is Joe Tiller. Coach Tiller was the head coach at Purdue my senior year, and then I worked for him for a year as a student assistant. But how Coach Tiller came in and it's changed the whole mentality of a team. We went 3-8 my junior year to 9-3 my senior year, and it was all a change of mentality. Expect to win. He came in with that mentality, but to see how he influenced us so quickly was amazing. And that's something that when you talk about building culture, that's what he did. And I think a little bit of what I try to do comes from Coach Tiller of building a strong culture and believing in whatever that is, what we're doing or what we're focusing on that season. Right now it's faith. As a program, fortitude, accountability, integrity, trust, and hustle. So that's our culture right now. But Joe Tiller came in with an expect to win culture. That's what we talked about, and that's what we did.
Well, so really quick about Joe Tiller, just a quick question. Was he the coach in 2000 as well? Did he stay on?
Yes.
Okay. So I just saw on Purdue's Instagram, they celebrated their, and I know you weren't there at that time, but I'm sure some of your former teammates were still there because you mentioned,
a lot of them.
And even some of the guys that you coached, because you were a graduate assistant coach when Drew Brees started out, and he was on that team. And so a lot of your former other players, and whether you coached them or you played with them or both, were on that team. And so shout out to them and their awesome accomplishment. And Coach Tiller, who you guys won the Alamo Bowl twice, and then you went on and they did a great job with everything that they did then. So, I mean, he had high expectations, it seems like, and he didn't stop. He just kept going forward.
Yeah. So what's even cooler about all that? So in '98, we go out to play Southern Cal, USC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while we're out there, we go to the Rose Bowl just to visit.
Okay.
So he brings the team into the Rose Bowl, right? And I'm a student assistant at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells the team, guys, in 3 to 4 years, we're going to be playing in the Rose Bowl.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps. That's awesome.
And that freshman class, their senior year, played in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So those were the guys that you saw. Like last night, I watched the Purdue game. But the ones that walked on the field with Miss Tiller and all those guys, the Drew Brees, the Matt Lights, the Aiken Adells. Yeah. So that was kind of awesome to see that. But Coach Tiller do that and have that vision, and then that vision come true 3-4 years later. It's pretty awesome.
Well, and while you may not have been working with or on the team at the time that they did that, you helped build that. And I want to make sure that you recognize that and get a little bit of credit for that, because you helped as a player build the culture when Coach Tiller came in. You then, as a graduate assistant, continued to help build the culture and make sure that those guys knew that we're a winning mentality. We're going to do this. And so even though you may not have been on that team, you're just as much responsible for it as they are because of the building blocks that you put in place those few years prior. So congratulations to you as well on that awesome
well thank you, Tay. Thank you. And I really do feel like I was a part of that and a part of that culture change. And we went to a bowl game in '97, my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And Purdue hadn't been to a bowl in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then they went to like 11 to 12 straight bowls after that. So it's awesome feeling.
That's awesome. So my next question for you is, how did your experience as a college athlete prepare you for the challenges of leading a team?
Knowing what it feels like to be treated as a big time student athlete. Going to Purdue, playing in the Big Ten. We got treated well. So as a coach, you want to treat your student athletes the same way that I felt like I was treated, right?
Right.
Obviously by the things that we can control. We don't have all the resources
Right.
we
Yeah.
do in the Big Ten, but things that we can control. And I remember being at the college up in Chicago, Trinity International University. We wanted to travel. If I could travel, sleep in a hotel where we can meet at, eat at, and sleep, we can do those things all, at the same hotel. There's not too many Motel 8s you're going to be able to do that at, right?
Right.
So we were staying at pretty nice hotels because we wanted to be able to travel there, eat there, meet there. And that's the way we did it at Purdue. So again, things that we can control for our players, we wanted to do as big time as we could. And I could only know how that feels because I was a student athlete being treated at a high level, at a high level.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for sure. And you definitely want to make sure that you get your athletes everything that you can get them that's like you said, within your control. So, that's always an awesome thing to do. Next question is going to be, how would you describe your coaching philosophy?
Coaching philosophy, yeah. That's first. It starts with me by leading by example of a father, of a husband, of a coach, of a teacher, of a dad. Leading by example, trying to live the right way, do the right things that way. And then I'm a big one-on-one communicating guy. Is building those relationships with those young men or young women, whoever's in the program, but building those relationships. And I think building those relationships with leading by example, hopefully will create a positive person in society, because that's what we want, and not just the football player, but the whole person, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Building them spiritually, physically, and mentally for the world.
Any good coach, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to coaches who don't believe that that's the case, but any good coach, in my opinion, believes that you're not just building the athlete, you're building the man or the woman, depending on what you're coaching. But if that's not part of your philosophy, I feel like you're doing a disservice to the athlete.
Oh,
That's
for
just
sure,
that's my
for
personal
sure, for
opinion.
sure.
So I
Yeah.
mean, any good coach who wants their players to succeed not only just on the field but off the field and later on in life, that's something you got to believe in. So can you share a story about a time when a player overcame adversity under your guidance?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh wow. So I was a head coach at another school, and I had a young man who had gotten some trouble, just not doing the right things, and then we had an incident where he got into a fight in practice, which is not uncommon, but he got into a
Right.
fight in practice, but carried on and kind of got into it with a coach.
Mm.
All right. To where it was to the point where we basically had to bring him in and suspend him for a game. This was during the season. We had to suspend him for a game. So he didn't have no interaction with any teammates, and just away from the program for, I think it was actually 2 weeks. So we bring him back, and after a week or so, another incident, gets into a fight, gets into it with another coach. So now I bring him into the office and we have a one-on-one. Now I had been communicating with him a lot previously, so I knew he had a dad that was military, which I came from a military background. So I kind of knew dad might have been a little tough on him, that type thing. So we talked about how dad would feel about him with these things going on, for him getting in trouble. And I said, well, maybe I don't want to call dad. I said, maybe I want to call mom. And I said, so, hey, can I call mom? And he goes, no, you can't call mom. And I said, well, why can't I call mom? He said, I saw mom shot and killed when I was a young boy. And I said, oh, wow. And I said, well, how does this make you feel? And he goes, I'm angry. He goes, I'm angry all the time.
A justifiable answer.
And I said, well, it makes sense to me now why you're acting out like this. So I gave him two choices. First choice was to be suspended and go to counseling. And go to so many sessions of counseling, meet with me once a week, or don't go to counseling, be suspended indefinitely, and more than likely be kicked off the team. So he chose option A. He started going to counseling. We did suspend him for the whole year, for the rest of the season. Year 2, he did come back after finishing his counseling sessions. But the success is not there because that helped. But this was a couple years ago. But 6 months ago, he calls me and he says, Coach Tillman, I just want to thank you for helping me and making me go get help. I am now in the military, and I'm an officer in the military. So stories like that,
Yeah.
I didn't know how that was going to turn out, but I just knew that young man needed some help.
Yeah.
I knew he didn't want to lose football. And I thought football, if he wanted to keep football, he needed to get help. So football was an avenue to help that man in his life. So I was probably one of my better success stories. Sad, how we had to get to it, but at the same time, I feel like maybe I did a little bit in that young man's life to help him where he is now.
It sounds like, according to him, you did a lot of it to help him to get to where he's at now. Give yourself a little more credit. But it also, it again comes back to that building the whole man, not just the athlete, because if you had just focused on the athlete and hadn't done, the focusing of building that whole man and helping him heal, he wouldn't be where he is today. And so that's just a proven perfect example of the conversation we were having earlier about building the whole man. So good for you, Coach. That's really awesome. And thank you for your service, unnamed person, because we're not going to put your name out there, but thank you for your service. And that's really awesome. So we have 3 more questions. Next question is going to be, how do you manage pressure during high stakes moments?
Me personally, I like to, first of all, just take a deep breath, just take a deep breath. And I tried to, for a second or two, try to get my mind not to concentrate on what we're focusing on, just focus on something different for half a second or whatever, and then get back to what we're, whatever the moment is. All right. So for example, I was coaching at Bethel University, and might have been, don't quite remember the year, but I remember the situation. It was fourth quarter, we were winning. I was a defensive coordinator, and the team we were playing were driving the field to win the game. Probably less than 2 minutes in the game.
Never a good feeling.
I had just got done coaching basketball at Florida Southern, so I still had a kind of a basketball coach's mentality. So since they had the momentum, was driving the field, I looked over to the head coach and said, "Hey, can we call timeout right now?" He says, "Yes, call timeout. Stop the momentum, kind of momentum timeout." So we call timeout. We bring the defense over to the sideline. And I get him to the sideline, and I bring him over. And I said, "Hey, guys, first I want you to take your helmets off." So they all took their helmets off. And I said, "Let's woo-side." All right? Got it from watching Martin Lawrence and and Will Smith, the woo-side. Right? So we're going to woo-side. So first we woo-side, right? And they were kind of looking at me a little different. All right? And then once we woo-side, I said, "All right, guys, I got some really good news." And I said, I saved a lot of money by switching my insurance to Geico.
They probably thought you were crazy.
And like couple laughed. I do, excuse my language, I do remember one in the back saying, "What the hell, coach?" But for a second, nobody thought about that team driving the ball down the field and we're about to get scored on.
Which was the point,
so
right? That's the point.
It got our minds off it for a second, and then we focused back in. We locked back in. We made the necessary adjustments.
Mhm.
We went out, got a stop, and won the game. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of how I deal with pressure a little bit. Try to get my mind off it a little bit and get the focus back on it. But honestly, the more I grow, the older I get, the less pressure I feel. Because of my faith, we have anxiety and things like that. A lot of times that's just a lack of faith. I know God has my back. I know God's not going to forsake me. So whatever happens is in his will anyway, right?
Yeah.
So all we can do is prepare ourselves for it, be ready for it, and then go attack it, whatever it is. And whatever happens, happens. But let's try not to make it bigger than what it is. It's still a game when it comes down to it. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to still have, life to breathe and all that, right? But yeah, so I don't try to make it too much, make it more than what it is. Let's attack it and see what happens.
I have to remind myself of that as a fan sometimes. Being a fan of college football is very, very difficult sometimes, and sometimes I need that reminder. So that's a good way to think about it, and a really good reminder to all you college football fans out there who need that reminder that, hey, you're going to wake up tomorrow, the sun's going to come up, your
That's
team
right.
may have lost, but it's going to be okay.
And just imagine if you guys are feeling like that. Just imagine how the coaches are feeling.
I can't even imagine how the coaches are feeling. I mean, like, for example, let's just throw one out there right now, right? Like Billy Napier. Can you imagine how he's feeling right now? Like, I can't even imagine the pressure that he's feeling, the stress that he's feeling, and I'm hoping that, he may find, maybe he'll come across this podcast, maybe he'll hear your words, and maybe he'll find those comforting, because I feel like that's something he needs to hear right now, like, God's got you. Whatever happens, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be okay, whether you're in the hot seat, you lose the job, you keep the job, you lose another game, doesn't matter. I feel like your words would be really comforting to him right now. So, because those are some pretty powerful words.
And watching him from last year, he was kind of in the same boat last year at this time. They
My
didn't
mom and I
start
were
off
just talking
real
about
well,
that.
and then they went on a little running streak, and all the guys, all the naysayers, and saying, they need to get rid of him. Now they were back on the bandwagon. So,
Yeah.
that's why they pay him the big bucks,
Yeah.
So,
Keep out that outside noise and focus on moving forward to the next game. So
you've got
it'll
a
be
couple
interesting.
dollars to keep that outside noise away. So
Yeah, just a couple. Just a couple. So my next question for you is going to be, how do you want to be remembered as a coach and a leader?
As a leader, first, tough but fair. I got the best out of him, but also, coach liked to have fun. He kept things light. Again, pressure situations. He's talking about saving money, by switching to Geico, right? But at the same time, he was able to get us locked in when we needed to be locked in.
Yeah.
And then, as a coach and as a person, just a light in the world, to make the world brighter. A light in people's lives, a bright light in people's lives, again, to make the world a brighter place.
I can honestly say, in the short time that I've spent with you preparing for this podcast, we spent a little time together previously prior to recording the podcast, and just getting to know each other and working on everything. You are somebody that I think I would come to in my life for advice. You are somebody that I would trust to give me solid advice. Just in the short time that I've gotten to know you, and I think that speaks volumes as the kind of person that you are, not just as a person, but as a coach as well. Your athletes are very lucky to have you, and I just want to throw that out there to you as a compliment, because you truly, like, in the short time that we've spent together, you've taught me some things. You've given me some good advice. You've given, future athletes some good advice. You're an all around, you are a light in this world. You have an infectious
Well, thank
smile
you.
as well. So thank you for
Well,
that.
thank you. Well, thank
But
you.
you will definitely be remembered that way, Coach. I can tell you that for a fact. And I'm not even one of your athletes. So that's
Well,
definitely,
thank you for saying that. And
yeah, of course.
I just try to live, treat people like you want to be treated. I keep God first
Yep.
in my life. That's first and foremost. Um, yeah, and just being a lover of God, I gotta love everybody. And
Yep.
that's what
That's
God
exactly
tells us
right.
to do. So yeah, that's just me.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're,
for saying those things.
yeah, of
It
course.
means it really means a lot.
Yeah, of course. My last and final question for you today is going to be, what advice would you offer to other athletes considering a future in coaching?
First thing would be don't get into coaching for the money. Uh, um, Obviously, there's a lot of money to be made in coaching
Right.
at a high level, a very high level. But
Billy
understand
Napier's great example.
the higher level you get, the less job security you have as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but do it for the love. If you um well, it needs to be for the love, and I wouldn't say do it for the love. If you don't love it, it probably isn't for you. Because there's a lot of sacrifice that has to be made
Mm-hmm.
in coaching. From sacrifice family time, free time, birthdays, holidays, things like that. So you definitely have to love it. And then for as a partner, your partner needs to understand and love it as well, or definitely understand it because it's a lot of stress on families
Yep.
as well. And then for a young coach, especially if you're a player, if you're a player and you're playing Division One football and you want to get into coaching one day, what you need to do is make sure that you are building your network of coaches. And the positive thing, if you're at the D1 level, your coaches obviously at the D1 level too.
Right.
And as they grow, your assistant coaches are going to become coordinators. Your coordinators are going to become head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you're have a good rapport with them, um, a good relationship with them, when they get that job as from an assistant to a coordinator, they need assistant coaches. You
Right.
know, if you have a good relationship with them, they've seen you work, they see how hard you work, that you're a good person. The likelihood of them hiring you on uh, goes up, right?
Yeah.
And now you have 9 coaches on staff, 10 coaches on staff. They've all gone different places. That's 10 different jobs that you can possibly maybe get. It
Yeah.
happened to me. I did an internship with the Baltimore Ravens, and the reason why I got on was because our head coach at Purdue at the time was Jim Coletto, had gotten a job with as an offensive line coach with the Ravens.
Well, that's
I
awesome.
was looking for an internship, called him up. He remembered me. I mean, obviously remembered me as a player, recruited me.
Mm-hmm.
But got me on with the Baltimore Ravens for the Bill Walsh minority internship. So yeah, so build those relationships, make sure they're good relationships, and continue to cast in that net for have a network of people to contact once you get into coaching or want to get into coaching.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. I mean, between your example and my favorite example that's currently in college coaching, because you could talk about coaching trees and, like, for example, like how many people have come from Nick Saban, right? Like how many people have come from that coaching tree just because they worked under him or they played under him or whatever. But my favorite example right now, and it's Mackenzie Milton. Mackenzie Milton, he had that major injury, um, and he came back, he fought back, he went to Florida State. He didn't have the greatest season, but he still fought back from that insane injury that the whole world got to see on national television. And when Josh Heupel was putting together a staff at Tennessee, Mackenzie Milton wanted to get into coaching. And so because of that relationship that they had together at UCF, he was able to become an analyst. And then when Scott Frost came home and returned home to UCF, he's now, I think, the quarterback's coach. And that was his
Yes.
first hire that he made was Mackenzie Milton. And I think that just speaks volumes to, like, your perfect example of, like, you have to do that networking, especially if you've come from as a player use your coaches as people who, help you move to that place to place, because that's really the best way to do it. And that's relevant to almost every job, but I think even more so in athletics. Like, your coaches are who you need to network with, and other coaches too, to make sure that you're building that network and then staying in touch too. Like right now, for example, you're in high school football, but I know for a fact you're staying in touch with people who you coached with when you were doing college, because eventually you want to get back into college football, right? So, I mean, that's the other perfect example, is you have to stay on top of your networking. You can't let it fall between the wayside and fall between the cracks, because then you lose out on those relationships, and you have to keep building those relationships even if you're not in that setting at that time.
And actually working at the high school, I've gotten a chance to meet a lot more college coaches
I
than I
bet.
did
Yeah.
working at the college level, right?
Yeah.
Because of recruiting. We have some pretty good players here at Melville Central Catholic High School here that are being recruited at a high level. So when you get coaches from Alabama, coaches from Florida, Miami, Florida State,
Tennessee.
UCF, South Florida, Georgia, Nebraska, Pitt, that are coming in, calling you, weekly, checking
Yeah.
on your players, you're building those relationships as well. So,
And
um,
I saw you took one of your players on a couple college visits too. So not only are you getting to experience it that way, but you get to go to these games and probably meet some of the coaches, maybe not necessarily the head coach at the time, but some of the other coordinators and coaches. You probably get to meet them as well during your college visits. So I mean, that's really awesome.
no,
And
it's been awesome.
yeah,
This past year and a half, almost 2 years now, being at the high school, being a head coach at the high school here, has been a great learning lesson on recruiting. In as time changed, kids change. You know what
right.
I mean?
And the
So
rules changed too, because you got
and
like
rules change
NIL and
too,
coming in
and
and all that stuff.
NIL and the
Yeah.
portal and all that, and the portal's still changing.
Yeah.
I think they just had a new rule come out about a week ago.
Yeah,
So,
you're only going to be able to do transfers in January for like a week period, and that's it. That's going to
and that's
change
it. Yes,
everything.
yes. No, and I think that's a good rule, right? But again, being on this side of it is allowing me to see things I probably wouldn't have seen at the college level,
Right.
and exactly the way this whole thing is evolving, this NIL and the portal deal, and the way it's affecting high school student athletes.
Yeah. You definitely got put back in high school for a reason. I do firmly believe that. I believe that you took that job, and let me say this, we're offered that job as at the high school level when you came out of that last college coaching for a particular reason. And I think that may be one of it, is so that you could get that different perspective on, student athletes and recruiting and NIL and all that stuff that's happening, so that when you did get back to the college level, you were even more prepared than some of the college coaches are going to be.
Well, I know God has me here for a reason. The
100%.
relationships that I've built and I'm continuing to build, um, is I don't know. I feel like I have a bunch of I'll say nephews. I would say sons,
Yeah.
but I feel like maybe I could be that cool uncle,
Oh yeah.
the one that you can talk to, that you may not be able to say things to dad, but I can go to my uncle, but
Yeah.
he's gonna keep it real with me too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's gonna tell me when I'm right and when I'm wrong.
And keep me straight.
But at
Yeah.
the same time, I can laugh and maybe say some things to him that I wouldn't say to my parents, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do feel like I'm here for a reason. But some of these relationships that I've built here in the last year, will last a lifetime. I know.
I love to hear that. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I do really quick want to give a quick shout out to Chris Summerall. Chris is a hat guy. He's my new hat dealer. And he set me up with this brand new hat for the Everything Sports Podcast with Tay hat. So I have my very first hat. But I just wanted to give Chris a shout out and a thank you, because not only did he create this hat for me, but he did it for me for free. And so I just wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out on the podcast. So
What's up?
thank you, Chris. And we'll definitely be getting some more hats to get some merch out there and have some people repping the podcast. So
Chris Summerall, shout out. Is he any kin to Pat Summerall?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'll have to ask him.
You have to ask him that, right?
Yeah, I'll have to ask him. So, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Willie. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. I really appreciate it. We're definitely going to have you back on as you continue to move through your coaching career at different places so that we can talk about the new things that you're up to. So be looking out for my text message to invite you back on in the future. You've been a great guest. I've really appreciated it, and I've really appreciated getting to know you. I've known your wife for quite some time, over 10 years now, but I have not had the pleasure of getting to know you until recently, and I just want to say it's been a real honor and a real pleasure. You are a kind, wonderful human being, and I am just
Thank you, Tay.
grateful that you agreed to do this with me. So thank you.
Thank you. Tay, thank you for having me on. It's been a blessing. Good luck to you. I would love to be a guest again, but look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at our Titusville game.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. I'm going to come out and support the Hustlers.
That's right. Come support the Hustlers. But again, thank you so much, and God bless.
Everybody subscribe to our YouTube. We're on Instagram, X, and now also on TikTok, ESP with Tay. So subscribe to those. Stay tuned for next week's episode. I'm not going to announce the guest yet, but stay tuned for next week's episode. It's also another good guest that we have coming on. So thank you again, Willie, and everybody. We'll see you later.